So today we're here at the Daughters of the Utah Pioneer Museum, or the Pioneer Heritage Museum in Salt Lake City, Utah. So it's pretty neat here. There's a lot of stuff. All of the things they have were owned by the pioneers, and the pioneers' certain time frame that they consider to be pioneer artifacts. So anyway, all this stuff is either brought over with the pioneers or owned when they got here, or some Native American things also. But here's this stained glass window. Right now the sun's just on the other side of us, so it's really bright, really nice looking. But it was actually made in 1950 to talk about, kind of tell the story of the pioneers. Anyway.
Groves in Llewellyn, Paris. I know we're on a wagon train in the
And then you
okay.
pump it.
I think everybody has a story that. No, I don't know.
I don't know how to play anything. Do you know how to play anything?
No.
Well,
So it says this Kimball pump organ was originally owned by Jenny Pickering Brown, a native pioneer born in Utah in 1864.
So we have an ancestor story of a pioneer coming across the plains with the early pioneers. So I'm going to look in the book. I believe it was Lucy Simmons Groves who came across in the handcart or the covered wagon, and see if I can find her. Nope. Oh, look at this. Lucy Simmons Groves. This looks like this is her.
This is our mother.
Yep, Patience Sibbles is her child who I come through. And it says that Lucy was born in Berkshire, Massachusetts, grew up there. Her family was educated and well off. Lucy's father died when she was very young. Lucy and her mother were converted to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and moved to Kirtland before 1836. Here she met and married Elijah Hurd Grove. Now both Lucy and Elijah Hurd are buried in southern Utah, so we know where their cemetery plots are. In 1848, in the midst of making preparations for leaving winter quarters, Lucy gave birth to her sixth child and 10 days later joined the wagon train. A wheel in a deep rut. This threw Lucy from the wagon and it ran over her chest. Elijah jumped from the wagon and pulled her from under it, but not before the rear wheel ran over her leg. 3 ribs were broken and her left leg a compound fracture. The doctor on the company set it, but the bandage was too tight and gangrene set in. The doctor said he would have to amputate the leg, and Lucy said she would die first. The pain caused by the jolting of the wagon was unimaginable. President Young did many things to help her, like making a rope hammock tied to the wagon bows to take a lot of the jarring from the wagon. And when the pain got too severe, he would ride by her side. The leg did heal, but she had to use a crutch for the rest of her life. Lucy was a faithful wife and mother. She passed away July 1883 in Virgin, Utah at the age of 76.
So that right there, that little bell, says that that is a bell that was made from the very first bucket of copper from the Bingham copper mine. There's the original Eagle Gate, carved by Ralph Ramsey. That's what the Eagle Gate looked like right there.
Let's see, it was made by Aunt Ginny Kelsey. She raised the sheep, spun, dyed, and wove the yarn by hand. And this one says it was woven by Elizabeth Hathaway, a descendant of Pocahontas. But yeah, fun patterns there on a loom.
There's spinning wheels there and a old loom.
See, this loom has just a rag rug on it, but those bedspreads I was looking at would have been made on a loom like this.
Yeah, that loom's pretty fancy compared to this one over here.
Oh, this one's older.
Look at that loom there. And here you can get your complimentary excursion to Saltaire on the Old Folks' Day.
Hey, Saltaire used to be a happening place
Yep.
back in the day.
Old Folks' Day, Old Folks Choir. That's pretty funny. Probably can't call them old folks anymore.
There's just so many interesting little things. Like there's a carpet stretcher and there's some rug beaters, some canes. There's for my sister a turtle spittoon. Step on the head to raise the shell. That's funny. Check out some of those lighters. What is this pipe? A cigar holder brought from Belgium. Snowshoes from Jim Bridger. And barbed wire. And lots of different nails. I love old books. Look at these. Is that a Harry Potter wand? This camera is amazing. Here I am holding a camera in my hand every day with my phone, and yet to have a portrait taken in the 1800s, yeah, that would be amazing. Photographers were artists, really. Viewmaster, these are, predates that.
So this is the children's toy room. There's an old bouncer to put your kid in. This is the crazy doll section. Some of these look a little creepy.
You know, back in that time though, if this is the only doll you had, leave it. Don't have a doll. A QP Pie doll from the 1920s. This could be a good Halloween display. This item here, this round circle, is what you would use to make the lace. So you would sew little patterns on each circle and then take those off and sew them together to make laces. Oh, and look at those little tiny books. That is cute. And this is so interesting. These were all made out of hair. Sometimes I think about it with my hair because there's so much of it, and my daughter's hair, we just have so much hair laying around. But to be able to work hair into flowers, that's crazy. I'm grateful for the people who've saved these items, that we may be able to look at them. But there is just so many things.
So we're in the carriage house. They've got these old stagecoaches. This one actually says Yellowstone Park Transportation Company. Look at that original coach there. This one says Ontario on it.
So this old wood back here, it says like the Lion House gates and a door used in an old mine. And you know what? I've taken some of the wood out of my parents' old sheep shed to use crafting. Yet here they are preserving this old wood because of the places it stood. This is a pair of Utah's first skis.
This here is a rail car. They had the tracks around town, and the horses would pull these cars on the tracks around town. And anyway, so there's one of those, Utah Central Depot, Salt Lake. Check out this bicycle here. It says it's the Bone Shaker, nickname for this bicycle that clearly was jarring to ride. So anyway, it has the front pedals, or the pedals are just hooked to the front tire right there, and the tire is actually like a wagon wheel. It's got wooden spokes and a wooden rim with a metal ring around the outside to protect it. So I'll bet that is one uncomfortable bike to ride. So here's a tin bathtub. Look at that, that's what we need. Just throw it on the floor, take a bath in it, then you can stand it up out of the way so it doesn't take up so much space.
Just boil the water and dump it in.
Yep.
And I understood that
take a bath right in the kitchen.
the man got to bath first, then the women and children, and the baby was the last one. So the phrase, "don't throw the baby out with the bathwater," was because you couldn't see the baby in the dirty bathwater at the end.
So this here is a completely restored fire engine. It was made by the American Fire Engine Company, steam engine, and it was called the Roosevelt. This was restored, started restoration in 1994, finished up in 1996. The original manufacture of this fire engine was 1902, and it does have a registration number on it. But that restoration is amazing. Look at that. That thing is, the detail on that is just amazing. So this says here that has 1,000 gallons per minute at 100 pounds of steam pressure and a 92 horsepower boiler. The original cost in 1902 was $8,900. So the boiler on this would build pressure to spray the water out, or run the steam engine that would pump the water out, is what the steam engine would do. And it was actually pulled by a 3-horse hitch. So when I was younger, my grandma had a chair like this, and I remember not liking sitting in it because as a little kid we would have to sit in the middle and there's no cushion in the back, and so it hurt our backs when we sat in it. But it looked almost like that, almost the same color and everything.
So we just finished up with the Utah Pioneer Museum, which is run by the DUP, the Daughters of the Utah Pioneers, which I guess I can be a member of because I am a daughter of a Utah Pioneer.
Yep, and it was pretty interesting. I've been to some other Daughters of the Utah Pioneer museums in other cities, and this one has a ton of stuff in it. It was very interesting. The carriages, my favorite thing in there was probably that old fire engine, the old steam-powered pump fire engine. That was cool.
Yep.
So
There's a lot of cool things, almost overwhelming. Have to make another trip, come back.
yep. So thanks for coming along with us today on this adventure, and we hope you had a good day.